I know we were expecting some new developments this weekend, but some of them have failed quality control. Make sure you indicate what you'd like redeveloped via the workstation.
Hey, what's going on, guys? aarava here, and welcome back to my F1 2018 career mode here today, part number 3 at the Chinese Grand Prix. If you guys did miss the opening 2 parts of this series that were uploaded both yesterday, be sure to go check them out. Annotations in the top right to part number 1 right now. But yeah, bad news to kick off episode number 3 then. Unfortunately, my first taster of failure of parts. We've had a successful engine upgrade, but our chassis and downforce upgrades have both failed. So, yeah, I mean, we had the DRS failure on the very first lap of our career mode in part number 1. I said at the time, I hope that's not a bad omen, and straight away with 3, minor upgrades, 2 out of 3, majority overall, have failed. So we have to see, you can see we have to spend some extra points to redevelop those parts, essentially, and so hopefully now they'll be guaranteed to come to the car next episode for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in Baku, of course, with a different calendar for 2018, but the only upgrade, instead of 3 at China, the only one that's gone on is the engine, which, to be fair, is not too bad. I think if anything had to not fail, I probably would have chosen the engine, actually, because hopefully that will help us down the back straight at China. But you can see here, we've got some points left over, and so since we've already done one upgrade on the engine, I know I said in the first part of this series that I wasn't going to focus on the engine too much, but I may as well upgrade one more time on the engine, because then that will open us up into, you can see there, that 3-fold branch of the R&D tree. So in the future, it opens us up just a little bit more, and really at the moment I'm just playing a waiting game on the other upgrades now, so there's no point just sitting on some points. I felt like I wanted to spend some straight away, so we purchased another upgrade then, and yeah, not much else we can do. We'll just go ahead into practice then and try and have the best preparation we can without those other 2 upgrades.
This weekend sees us arrive in Shanghai for the Chinese Grand Prix. First up is today's practice session. Anthony Davidson is here as usual to help take us through the action. And Ants, I've seen some questions on social media and other places about this current crop of F1 cars and why they're so much faster now, despite being significantly heavier than the previous generations of machines. Take us through that one.
I'd be happy to, Crofty. And simply put, it's a matter of grip. Now, that comes from 2 sources. You have what we call mechanical grip, which comes from the surface of the tyre sticking to the road. And these tyres are significantly wider now when compared to previous years, so they have the potential for more mechanical grip. Then you have the downforce, of course, which pushes the car into the road as the air moves over it, thus generating grip. And these cars have about 20% more downforce, which is more than enough to overcome the added weight.
I've had a chat with Carl about the new parts, and we're happy that they've been integrated into the car okay. With any luck, you'll be able to feel the improvement, so give them a try.
So thankfully it's going to be all dry then in practice, and also the entire weekend, so we're yet to have any wet running on this game at all. So it's going to be a very interesting thing once we get to it. But yeah, talking about the practice programs around China, I just want to note for you guys that back in 2017, I felt like the practice programs around China were very difficult, especially the TYRE one was near impossible in my opinion. But here in 2018, looks like they've done some tweaking, and it's a lot better. And also, like with Bahrain in part number 2, again, China is a circuit that usually historically I have not gone well at, and I'm not very comfortable around. But again, just like Bahrain, I felt super comfy around here, and this car, at least, I don't know about other cars, but the Haas at least was feeling really stable around China. So looking forward to this one. I genuinely think we can do really well, and hopefully, maybe fingers crossed, this time we can maybe even try and beat Kevin Magnussen in quali and the race. But first, we've got interviews to go to.
Amazing performance out there. You must be really happy.
You've got a bit of rivalry going on. How did that come about?
So obviously in F1 in general, you compare yourself to other drivers so much. So I think the right answer is going to be the one to go with.
You were flying in practice. Do you think you can carry this over to qualifying?
See, now for this, I almost wanted to answer on the right-hand side and be a bit egotistical, but then I thought, I'll compliment the team and, that'll maybe boost them up, and it did.
It's the start of the season. How do you think things are going to go for you?
This is a pretty open question, a lot of answers there, but honestly, I would just say it's too early to call. That's always my motto. It's way too early to even look into the points or anything like that.
Appreciate your time.
We'd like to welcome you from wherever in the world you join us today for this F1 qualifying session here in Shanghai, China. I was looking at some highlights of previous races here, and the one thing that really stood out to me was the run down to turn 1. It's not an easy one to navigate as everyone is scrapping to get into there first.
It's the scene of many incidents as drivers jostle for position. You have to make a choice between going for it and self-preservation. There's no point in going in hot if you don't come out intact the other side. Even if you're at the front, you will be worrying about the guys behind you.
Right, so straight into qualifying then in our flying lap in Q1, and like I said, feeling good about this one, so I think we have a really good chance to maybe even out-qualify Kevin Magnussen around here. Especially with the engine upgrade, I feel like I'm utilising that quite well. In terms of aero, I've gone quite in the middle. So far, I've seen a lot of questions about what setups I'm doing. At the moment, I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of going just off the kind of default and then just tweaking a few little things like the ride heights and just maybe one click to the right or the left on the wings and things like that. Once I get a better idea of the setups, guys, I can do like a career mode setup to kind of, you know, give you guys, maybe those of you who don't really know anything about the setup menus, maybe a comfortable kind of guide for a comfy race kind of setup for career mode. But for now, I'm not really doing that much, so honestly, it's not worth making a video just yet. But we get through Q1 very easily. Then you saw myself and Magnussen were actually quite closely matched in Q1 on the timesheet, and then doing a good run in Q2 so far on the first flying lap across the line. It's P4 at the moment, obviously early days, but that's good enough to get us through in P9. So Magnussen finds a bit more time in Q2 then, but I'm not too worried. That lap could have been a lot better, I feel, but I was leaving some time on the table for Q3. But here we go, into Q3, you can see looking a lot darker, so I don't know if that's going to play around with the tyre temperatures. Of course, this year, the tyre carcass and the tyre outside surface are both simulated individually, so I'm not too sure how that gets affected by actual track temperatures, and if that is a thing that really does make a difference. But you got to say, looking very, very overcast, so if it was real life, you would say the track's going to be a little bit colder, and I'm not too sure if that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing for our car yet. I'm not really too sure. Obviously, for the Merc and Mercedes, usually the Mercedes like the colder conditions, but, you know, so far in 2018, in real life, the Mercedes cars have seemingly got on top of the hotter conditions. But now we move on then through the last corner, a little bit wide there on the entry, missed the apex, but across the line it's P5 at the moment there, and it ends up being P9. We get out-qualified both Renaults, but crucially I do beat Kevin Magnussen. So overall, very, very happy to beat Magnussen for the first time this season in quali, but both of us got out-qualified by the two Renaults. So Renaults so far have been a little bit lackluster in the races. They've got good quali pace, so could be on for a big, big fight with the Renault guys come race day. But yeah, just happy we beat Magnussen. Let's go onto the grid and go into the race.
Ever since the Sauber of Felipe Massa passed Jenson Button into Turn 1 at the very first Chinese Grand Prix in 2004, Shanghai has consistently provided close racing and extraordinary memories. It's where Lewis Hamilton effectively lost the title in his rookie year, and it's where Nico Rosberg claimed Mercedes' first win of the modern era in 2012. We're here in the Yangtze River Delta today, home of the 16 corners that make up the Shanghai International Circuit. 54% of this 3.3-mile lap is taken at full throttle, and we'll be getting up to speeds of around 200 miles an hour, with DRS assisting the cars down the back straight before they brake into the sharp hairpin at turn 14. Also here, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk briefly about Brendan Hartley. As ever, the threat of unreliability is never far away, and indeed they'll be starting out of position today due to a power unit component change. So it's going to be a difficult task to move forward from there.
Everyone has to deal with penalties or reliability issues from time to time throughout their career. You just have to suck up the pain and get on with the job at hand. Today isn't about performing a miracle to put the car back where it should be. It's about effective damage limitation.
We're almost ready to go then, and this is what the starting grid looks like for today's race. Sebastian Vettel has a clear track ahead of him today. He starts in pole position, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Raikkonen, Bottas, Max Verstappen, and Ricciardo, Hülkenberg, the engineer, Magnussen, and Fernando Alonso, Ocon, Gasly, Stoffel Van Dorn, and Perez, Leclerc, Stroll, Carlos Sainz. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. And Marcus Ericsson, Sirotkin, and Brendan Hartley rounds off the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
We've qualified above where we expected to be, so try your best to hold on to this position in the race.
So we start in P8 thanks to Carlos Sainz having an engine penalty, so 1 free place there, so that's good. So we're actually alongside Nico Hülkenberg then on this next row. The strategy, the default is a 2-stop. You can see the ultra soft tyres. The engineers think we won't take those very, very far. But to be honest, I want to try something a little bit different, and it's going to sound a little bit bonkers, but I remember in real life that there's obviously that step up between it goes ultra, skips the super softs, and goes straight to softs and mediums, and the mediums are going to go quite long, and I wanted to see, I was curious to see what the game thinks how long the mediums can go for, and I end up checking it, and it looks like if I can stretch the ultras enough, I could maybe pull off a 1-stop. I know people behind me in the midfield who don't have to start on the ultras, of course, because they didn't get into Q3, are probably going to maybe, a few of them will try a 1-stop going soft to medium. Can I pull off an ultra to medium? Let's find out this race, but I'm genuinely curious. I'm not going to set it on the strategy right now. You can see I go back to default, but as we go on through the race, I'm going to play it by the ear, and I'll see if I can maybe pull off the 1-stop. We'll have to see the situation, but we'll try. Definitely going to be a bit experimental today. So here we go then to 5 red lights. So the Chinese Grand Prix, round number 3 of the 2018 career mode is underway. It's a good start there compared to Nico Hülkenberg, and also Ricciardo bogging down there a little bit there ahead of us. So we get ahead of Nico, but then into turn 1, lift off, and Magnussen creeps up down around the outside. So it's 3 wide momentarily there between me, K-Mag, and Hülkenberg, and there's still, I think, Magnussen trying to find his way down the inside of me there. The proximity aeronaut, he's in the mirrors on the left. We cut across him just about, and up ahead of us, Ricciardo has been unable to get Bottas, and Bottas, the Mercedes cars, had a woeful start. We have a little bit of a look, but I think better of diving it down the inside, because Ricciardo definitely would have just pinched me into the apex there. Definitely this year's game, you can't really afford to dive bomb from that far back, whereas in 2017, could have maybe got away with it. But you can see now as we move on to lap 2, Bottas really struggling. He's got a huge gap to Verstappen then, the next car up there. So Verstappen's jumped Bottas off the start, and now onto the second lap. He's really struggling to even just keep Ricciardo at bay. So I don't know if he's got some sort of issue, maybe a kind of failure on the ERS maybe, or he's got an engine issue and he's trying to manage that. But Ricciardo now comes up on the left-hand side, going to try and overtake him. No DRS yet, and a big lock up there from Bottas. So I would say he's got something wrong with the car. And Ricciardo, I think he might have this on the left-hand side. He'll have the inside for the next last corner, of course, the left-hander, and there he goes. He's got it, but now Bottas actually, ironically, will get a good run off the last corner, get the slipstream in. So we move back to our POV onto lap 3, and once again, we can watch a brilliant scrap side by side with the AI right in front of us happening. And at the moment, I'm just being very patient and trying to see when's the best time I can stick my nose in here and maybe become part of this party at the moment. And you can see there in the background, we are getting closer and closer with a lock up into turn 2, so getting a bit impatient there. But as we move on to the back straight, Ricciardo with another good chance on the same straight. This time, though, he's got DRS on the left again. Bottas with the lock up on the right down the inside, but this time, crucially, Bottas has kept that, and Ricciardo's not alongside. And so at the moment, as we go through the laps, we're getting closer and closer to the pit stop window. And so these guys will be starting to wear out their tyres. Of course, I am as well, but I feel really good. Like, the tyres aren't feeling too bad, and I feel like I'm being very smooth with my driving. I mean, yes, I know I just locked up there on that previous lap, but apart from that, and a few little things here, I'm being a lot smoother than Ricciardo, I feel, who's now losing some pace in this opening turn. You can see a little bit of scrubbing on the tyres, having to go opposite lock. That's not ideal, but we're getting right up the gearbox to Ricciardo, and now pretty much I need to make this pass almost soon. Otherwise, it's just going to hold me up way too much. But saying that, we got to remember, we're still in P6, so we're doing a bloody good job at the moment, ahead of K-Mag, and actually he's not even behind me. Alonso has done some great work there. Fernando Alonso ahead of Magnussen, and also remember both Renaults, who again qualified well, but in the race seemingly just aren't here at the moment. I don't know what it is, but they just don't have the race pace compared to their quali pace. It's clearly there in quali, but at the moment focusing on us catching up to Dan Ricciardo. We have DRS now, and you can see Bottas has waltzed away for him, so Ricciardo was looking pretty punchy and attacking Bottas earlier on in the Grand Prix, but now his tyres, I feel, are starting to fall off, and down the inside we go. Do a bit of defensive work into the apex there, because he's still there. He got some good traction, but you can see now Fernando Alonso is tucked up right behind him, so Ricciardo, I think, is really losing his tyres quite quick. And you can see now on the mini-map there, we've got the Ferrari in of Raikkonen, so we're up into P2. A lot of the top runners have already pit now. Obviously, the Ultras, in theory, shouldn't be going very, very long. It's lap 5 and they're already in, but we're up into second place now. Bottas in first. You can see Fernando Alonso behind me is catching up to Ricciardo, who's made a mistake. So Ricciardo really is struggling so much in his tyres. It's fantastic to see, though, that now on this year's game, you can actually see AI struggling with tyre wear, which is usually never a factor. And Alonso on soft tyres is closing up to him. But this is what I mean. Alonso did not get into Q3, so he had a free choice of tyres, and he's on the softs. It goes ultra to soft to medium, like I said. He's on softs. He is 100% probably trying a one-stop soft to medium, and there he goes now for a DRS overtake on Ricciardo down the main straight to the inside. Ricciardo pretty much has nothing to answer for it, and then McLaren waltzes past him there just due to the tyre weight difference. But you can see I'm still managing to keep up with Alonso just about. You can see probably Alonso will close me up here, but Ricciardo comes to the pits. Behind him, there's a good old scrap between the two Force Indias there in the background, and also Stoffel Van Dorn. So the two McLarens are going well, Force India is going well. I think my teammate Magnussen has already pit with the top runners, so Magnussen is doing a two-stop, it would seem. I am now committing, I think. As soon as I saw Alonso overtake Ricciardo and I saw that mistake from Ricciardo, I decided I am going to try this one-stop. Bottas ahead of me is also seemingly on the one-stop, as Fernando Alonso now has a really good look at me. We're going to go defensive to the inside there. He's going to make a big dive around the outside. Obviously, he locks up there, but he's on the better tyre, obviously, at this stage of the Grand Prix now. My tyres are wearing just like Ricciardo's, but I'm managing that a lot better than Ricciardo, so that's the crucial thing. So for now, I've got Alonso at bay, but yeah, Bottas is on soft, so that means he must have qualified into Q2, on softs, because of course if you're on the top 10, you take the tyre that you qualified in Q2 with for the start of the race. So Bottas must have got into Q3 on softs, and so that's why he started on that tyre. And now you can see I'm having a battle with Alonso on lap 6. I'm trying to keep up with him. We're going to continue on, and pretty much now we have to go with the one-stop or bust, pretty much, because there's no point now converting back to a two-stop. So we're down the inside Alonso, going toe-to-toe with him, and again, we get him back, and we're back into P2 right now, so having a nice scrap with Alonso. But at some point, I feel like it's not going to be worth it, and I should just let Alonso go, because I'm only losing time now by fighting with him. If I want to make this work, I need to concentrate on the tyre wear, concentrate on driving smoothly, not dive-bombing Alonso back into turn 1. And so here, Alonso, where he's gone down the inside, I've let him go down the inside. If I really wanted to defend that, I would have gone to the inside again and defended the inside line, but I kept on the outside line, the racing line, and he's gone down the inside, and I've let him go, essentially. And so he's going to waltz off a little bit in P2, but we're just going to concentrate on us, do our job in P3. Ocon behind me, also on the one-stop there on soft tyres. So all of us in the top 4 here, at least, minimum. I even say top 6, because remember, Perez is behind Ocon. You got Van Dorn also behind Ocon. We're all trying the one-stop, but the crucial difference is I'm the only one trying the one-stop on a set of ultras right now. So I need to, I needed to concentrate on the tyre wear, and we take these tyres to lap number 8. So we took them 2 more laps after I let Alonso pass. We did some decent work, but now we're going to go into mediums, and we delve into a bit of unknown. Apparently, according to the game, I should just about be able to take these mediums right to the end of the Grand Prix. So I'm putting faith into the numbers being ran by the game and the race strategy. I'm going to strap on the white set of medium tyres. We're going to skip out the super softs that weren't even at this Grand Prix. We're going to skip out the soft tyres that all these guys on, and we go 3 compounds harder down to medium tyres, and we're going to the end of this race. At the moment, we're out in second last place, 19th, but have faith, guys. Have faith. This strategy is going to be all about the long-term patience play and just waiting for these guys to make their second pit stops, including Sainz up ahead, Magnussen up ahead. And speaking about Magnussen, he's on the soft tyres on that 2-stop there, and Sainz closes up. We're going to have a fight between the Spaniard and K-Mag there. Sainz round the outside. Looks like a bit of an awkward camera angle to have a look, but he's still there on the outside. Not got the move done just about. Obviously, this is all really good news for me. If these guys all on a 2-stop start fighting, going side by side in the last corner, like you can see there, oh my god, Magnussen and Sainz lose each other for so much time. And there I am in the background as Hülkenberg side by side with Ricciardo, Sainz side by side with Magnussen. This is just playing into my hands now because they're slowing each other up there. Magnussen with the DRS down the inside of turn 1, but they're still going to be neck and neck. Sainz still holding. It's a fantastic battle between Sainz and K-Mag there, but all the while in the background you can see I'm closing, and Sainz now surely might have this on the outside there. He's got the traction, and we're looking at a nose cam there momentarily. Now back to the panning shot, and Sainz on the outside on the racing line. Will he get it done around the outside? He's going to pinch Magnussen into the apex, maybe get the traction down. Bit of a bump there and some contact, and Sainz will get that, and he will be ahead of Magnussen for now. But let's see what we can do, because we close up but ahead of us. If you look and you squint your eyes near enough, you've got Magnussen down the inside of Sainz there, and to lock up, and there's been a mistake there from Carlos Sainz. He's been shoved off the road a little bit, it looks like, by K-Mag. Obviously, Magnussen probably told him to go suck his balls or something like that. So we're through the last corner now, and we're going to have DRS on Sainz. So can we make the move on the Renault? And this is really good now, because we're already on the back of this train, and they've not even made their pit stops yet. So we can overtake them. We've already been in a prime position, essentially. So here we go now. Can we find the grip? Nice and patient just trying to play with the throttle. Round the outside of Sainz we go to the inside of the next corner. Sainz, oh my God, he's not even going to, leave us too much room. Pinches us towards the apex. We just about keep our elbows out there and getting the move done. He was very stubborn about leaving that place for me. We're going to go to the inside, defensive work. He's going to dive around the outside, of course. He's on better tyres, technically, so he's got the better grip for now, but we managed to defend our position successfully. And then pretty much now, as we swing through on the slingshot onto the main straight, going to have slipstream, we're going to have DRS, but even before we get to that DRS detection point, we're going to pull alongside K-Mag, and then on the left-hand side, pretty easy move there with ERS obviously deploying. And Magnussen does not make it a difficult pass. We go to the inside. He's going to try on the left. We go defensive to the apex. And we're up into P17. Brent Hartley up ahead of us in a bit of a train. But you can already see on the minimap there, we've got some other cars already coming in for another pit stop here. So let's see how far we get up the order then. Across the line, ahead of Stroll, Ericsson. Looks like Perez has made a pit stop finally. And so we're out in what is P13. So only a couple of more positions and we'll be back up to that, around P5, P6 where we were before the pit stop phases. And so now back behind us though, looking at this fight, Sainz again attacking my teammate Kevin Magnussen, but the Force India now might get involved. It might be 3 wide here. Look at that, lovely shot. And the Force India is going to go right around the outside. Another lock-up though from Sainz, but the Force India goes round the outside of Magnussen, and so he's lost 2 positions. That's really unfortunate, but that's great for me, remember. Although I do want both of us to do well for the sake of the constructors, it's been 2 races now where K-Mag's beaten us quite comfortably, so I would really love to kind of thrash him in a way this episode. That'd be really good. So we're up into now what is P9 with those remaining guys making their pit stops. Hulkenberg surely is going to come in soon enough. And so as you go through the last corner, lap 14 now, halfway through this Grand Prix. And there you go, we've got Vettel in now. And so we'll be ahead of Sebastian Vettel, Max Verstappen. We won't get Hamilton, unfortunately, but we have got Vettel and Verstappen. And, that's their second stop. And so they're going to the end, I'm going to the end. So we are legitimately here, right up behind Hamilton. We are actually ahead of Vettel and Verstappen. They have to come and overtake us if they want those positions, essentially. So that's also what Fernando Alonso is doing. I believe he's in a very good position. Look at the mini-map there. That orange dot up ahead of us, that's Fernando Alonso going into the S section there, ahead of us on track. So he's in an even better position, but you can see there, clearly, the pace difference between Fernando and me was so big that it was a really good thing I didn't fight Alonso anymore, because I would have held up both of us, essentially, and I wouldn't have been able to pull off the tyre wear that I'm doing at the moment. And so eventually Nico Hulkenberg is in, so we're up into what will be P6 now. Hamilton is ahead of us still, then it's Raikkonen, I believe, because Vettel is behind us, so that red dot must be Raikkonen. We move on to lap 18, on to lap 19, 10 laps to go in this Grand Prix, or 9 laps to go, I should say, and Ricciardo is in, and so we're up until a very, very lofty P5, Hamilton P4, Raikkonen P3, Alonso is P2, and Valtteri Bottas is P1. To say that Bottas, I think, had major issues at the start of this Grand Prix, he's doing an exceptional job to be out there at the moment, I think, in what is P1, trying a very audacious one-stop, but Alonso is doing even crazier work to be in P2 at the moment as it stands. Vettel eventually does catch up to us. He dives it down the inside. I just don't have anything to answer for the pace of that Ferrari car. When the conditions are right, these top cars, there's just no way you're defending them. I can maybe defend against Red Bull due to my engine advantage of having a Ferrari in the back of this car, but the Ferrari in this game is so strong, and Vettel just sends it down the inside there. We're gonna, there's also no point fighting Vettel. I can maybe fight the Red Bulls if they come and close us up. I imagine Ricciardo or Verstappen might come and close us up because they're going to try and overtake these cars. But there's just no point fighting Vettel. Again, with the Fernando Alonso fight, you've got to pick your battles. I feel like, especially in the midfield cars, I feel in this year's game, you need to pick your battles 100%. You need to play the long game sometimes on strategy. And that's why I'm really loving it at the moment. I feel like, unlike last year, it's not just about pushing flat out every single lap of the race now, especially if you're doing 50% or more. It's about strategically playing out your race. And so now, behind us, you can see there's a lot of scrapping going on. Van Dorn one of the Force Indias, I'm going to assume that's Perez, and then Ocon behind is in a sandwich of the Red Bull cars of Ricciardo, Ocon, and then it's going to be Max Verstappen. So you can see the Red Bulls are going to have to overtake all these cars before they even try and come and overtake me. So that is just going to buy me time, essentially, in this Grand Prix, because Ricciardo has to go through 2 cars before he gets to clean air to get me. Meanwhile, up ahead, this is now a move for P2, and unfortunately, Fernando Alonso has to give that up. He's down to P3 now, but I say only down to P3. That's still P3 in a bloody McLaren Renault for now at the Chinese Grand Prix, but Raikkonen up into P2. and he makes it a thin 1-2. Meanwhile, Hamilton there in the background in P4 chasing down Alonso, and I would imagine Hamilton could maybe catch Alonso, but the thing is Vettel is far too far back, so I think Alonso could still be on for a very good P4 this afternoon, which would be absolutely bonkers for the Spaniard. Meanwhile, talking about his teammate Van Dorn, eventually getting overtaken in a straight line by Ricciardo. We've missed the overtake on Perez there, but I assume it was a pretty easy pass for Ricciardo until Ricciardo's passed both those cars. Lock up though, but now Ricciardo has the clean air to try and close up to me, but crucially there's a decent amount of time between me and Ricciardo. There's me going through the last corner, and then Ricciardo is still yet to do that, so yeah, he's got a lot of time. And then meanwhile, we go back on board with Hamilton there. Lovely camera angle here, as it looks like we're literally hunting down Alonso like an assassin there. And so eventually I would assume Hamilton is going to overtake Alonso at some point for P3, because if he gets a podium, I don't know, I'll eat my shoe. I'm not even wearing shoes right now, but I'll go find a shoe and I'll eat it if Fernando Alonso manages to get P3 in this Grand Prix. Now we move on. We're on lap 24, only 4 laps to go in this Grand Prix, and we're still trying to do some tyre wear saving here. You can see nice and easy into turn 1. I'm looking at that right hand side, the heads up display on the tyre carcass temperature. You've got the inside temperature and then the outside one, and this entire stint, as Ricciardo's been making his way through the traffic and Verstappen as well, I've been just focusing on that, driving as smooth as I can. 1 turn in, 1 turn out, not trying to play too much with the wheel, and then on the throttle nice and easy as I can. And it's worked. The tyres have kept in really so well, to the point where I could definitely now start pushing, and that's what I'm going to need to do now as we move later onto lap 25, because Ricciardo now is closing up to us and he'll have DRS here. So now's the time where I don't worry about tyre wear. Now I just concentrate on defending this position. A fantastic P6, what it would be if we can keep it. But Ricciardo, here he comes. He's going to fly past us, but we're going to have the inside line there. He's gone deep a little bit, and we're going to cut across, and we're going to give him just an inch of room there on the side. We tap front tyres there, and we're literally neck and neck for a split second at the apex there, but all fair. You know, the only contact was a tiny bit of tyre contact there on the exit of the apex there, but it squeezed him quite well, and we're up into P6 again. He only got up into P6 momentarily there, Ricciardo did, and so that's going to pay well for us. But we're going to move back to this fight then with Hamilton and Alonso. Like I said, I don't think I'll be eating any shoes today, because here comes Hamilton now with DRS. The Renault in the back of that McLaren may be better than the Honda they had last year in last year's game, but still Alonso just, well, at the moment actually he's trying to maybe defend, and Hamilton actually, to be fair, has not got the move done, and Alonso's still actually there, but no, there goes Hamilton up into 3rd place, Alonso down to P4, but crucially, we've seen before, the AI have got a great slingshot off that last corner, so will Alonso now, with DRS, make a move on Hamilton? Yes, he will! Look at that, Alonso! Back down the inside of Hamilton there. Alonso and Hamilton, you love to see it, going side by side, absolutely amazing. This is the kind of fighting we hoped we were going to get in 2018, but it never came, alas. But Alonso fighting back against Lewis Hamilton on the outside. Hamilton got the racing line though. He's still there. Got his nose in. Fantastic stuff. And he dives it down the inside at the end of sector 1. Hamilton though, surely at some point, is going to have this. Get the traction down. Gets the power down. And he does that. Have that. And Alonso has to, concede that position. But amazing fighting. And going from one fight to another, back to the Red Bulls here, and after Ricciardo tried an attack on me, he's actually susceptible now to his teammate Max Verstappen, who might try and move on the outside there. Max going the long way round, and Ricciardo has locked up on the front right. Ricciardo's on softs, remember, Verstappen on mediums, and it looks like the medium tyres being the better race tyre this afternoon, because Verstappen's now down the inside, side by side between the Red Bull cars in this high speed, high downforce section, and Ricciardo just about gets that and keeps it ahead of Max Verstappen. But really good for us, because Verstappen attacking Ricciardo, that's what we want, because that's going to distract Ricciardo and allow us to keep away from him. We move on to lap 27. You can see on the tyre wear there briefly, really not that bad, but down the main straight now, we are comfortably still ahead of Ricciardo. He's actually not even managed to close up to us there into the apex, so he does have a little sniff on the, you can see the proximity arrow went red, and meanwhile I think that was Van Dorn trying to move on Verstappen, but we're going to keep it ahead onto the final lap of the Grand Prix. Ricciardo has one final chance. We go to the inside. It's going to be a textbook slam dunk, park on the apex there. He has nothing to answer with. His tyres have fallen off. Once again, Ricciardo has not managed those well, and those soft tyres just aren't working for him. So we're going to come through. Alonso may be up in P4, but we're in P6, and that's been a fantastic Chinese Grand Prix.
Sauber, take care of the car on the way in.
A great win then for the Mercedes team today. So, Anne, how exactly did they set themselves apart from the pack today?
Well, I think the track conditions just really suited their car today. Wind, track temperature, you name it. These cars come alive when the tyres are just at the right temperature. So the more easily you can keep them there, the better your race tends to go. And that's exactly what happened. Their car just looks so comfortable out there.
So as I say that, we can see the drivers coming out now to collect their trophies. It's yet more silverware to take back to their base in Brackley after another excellent Grand Prix.
So, part number 3 of this career mode tossed up a really, really awesome race. Fantastic, fantastic race. A one-stop there. Worked really well, but you got to say also GG's to Fernando Alonso up in P4 on that one-stop as well. But you can see there the pace difference between me and Alonso, the time gap there was. It was a really good thing in hindsight I did not fight him. If I fought him any more than I did back then, well, he wouldn't have been up there in P4, but I don't think I would be up here in P6. If I fought him too much, I probably would have been behind the 2 Red Bulls by the time they had come through the traffic, if you know what I mean, in terms of if you're looking at the time deltas all to each other. But yeah, that's really good. So that means now we're level on points with Kevin Magnussen in the championship then. So at the moment, it's 2-1, Magnussen beating me, but you can see that it's looking like a really good scrap. And like I mentioned at the end of last episode, I'm really liking this vibe at the moment that Magnussen is giving me a really good fight. It's very rare in the F1 games that your teammate genuinely gives you a really good fight. And so far, he's given me a good one. It's 2-1. We're level on points though, because I've got the better result here. We'll see how it goes then. It's all to play for next episode of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix between me and him. But at the moment, due to Alonso's great work, McLaren have got ahead of us up into P4. So I said I thought the fight was going to be between Haas, McLaren and Renault. At the moment, Renault aren't really there. It's McLaren, surprisingly, that are giving me the bigger fight. And so they get ahead of us. So we're going to have to try and kind of punch back a little bit next episode and try and do well around Baku there. But you can see on the teammate fight then, at the moment, Magnussen still leads that teammate rivalry. But we've closed up a little bit. So hopefully at Baku, I can try and get another one up on him. And we only have a finite amount of time to actually try and beat him in the teammate challenge. But anyway, we move on then through getting the extra resource points from the race, of course. But good reputation boost, a big reputation boost actually there for Haas. But also you can see Williams, Renault went up there as well in reputation stature. So, you know, third race, I feel like now we're just about starting to find our feet. But yeah, finally, so far, nothing major to kind of report on the engine wear. It's all looking pretty okay, actually. So I think we should still be good for episode number 4 at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. So guys, if you have enjoyed that episode, be sure to smash that like button. Thank you so much, guys, for the support and the response on the first 2 episodes. It's been absolutely crazy. Thank you so much. If you're on your own here, do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I've been aarava. Hope you enjoyed today, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.